There is literally no over-the-counter testosterone boosting supplement that is benefit to any of us. Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And this is one of these topics that, yes, I've covered many times, going back 10 plus years. But it's one of those topics that has to be covered because it is such a pervasive scam. Right, and it's not only a pervasive scam, it's one that a lot of my contemporaries, other people who put out information, continue to perpetuate. And so accordingly, I think it's important for those of us who know better to continually remind everyone that all serious experts, all serious experts in this area, all say that testosterone boosters don't work, that the only people promoting them are people who are in some way connected with making money selling them. So we need to be extremely clear on that. And in fact, when you look at any of the studies that have been done to promote it, case studies, in-house studies, not once have we ever consistently seen any of these products that have a significant boost on testosterone across multiple studies, meaning it's usually a very small study done, usually in-house, sometimes under certain extreme circumstances, to where there's some small increase in testosterone, but it's not replicatable. So that's a point we need to be clear on, and that should be usually the dead giveaway to the problem. Like I remember one of the early ones for D-aspartic acid, gosh, this must have been a decade ago. Right, and that was heavily pimped, and I mean heavily pimped by supplement companies. Okay, the study that they were using to support it was in endurance cyclists, like Italian endurance cyclists or something like that, who all had clinically low testosterone, potentially due to the overtraining of their endurance sport. And they also tested a lot of it in a phase where they were then backing off on their training, in which case their testosterone levels went up a little bit. But we also need the context that they didn't go up enough to actually cause muscle growth. Like, people have these ideas that some small transient increase in testosterone, that even if you could achieve it, is going to result in like 3 or 4 pounds of muscle growth or something crazy. And that's just not reality. Okay, small fluctuations inside the normal range don't really have any measurable increase on testosterone in terms they do on testosterone, meaning they don't have any measurable impact on muscle growth. Like, that is a complete misnomer. And where that comes from is because people observe that obviously men grow muscle faster than women. So clearly there's something happening with the testosterone. But part of that is what happens in utero, meaning it's not just the testosterone levels later in life, it's the levels during fetal development, that you are literally born slightly different as a result of it. Okay, so certain aspects of your muscle composition and bone density and other things absolutely have to do with even what happens as soon as it's in the womb. Okay, and men on average, male fetuses tend to have more testosterone than female fetuses. So there's that factor. Then there's the going through puberty with the higher levels. Kind of a big deal, guys. These are a big deal. So it's not just the levels later in life that are affecting a lot of these things. These are things that happen early on. Okay? They happen very early on, that this can have a lifelong effect on certain systems in the body, and particularly things like muscle fiber density. Okay? Bone density, all this stuff, it matters in this context. So you need to understand that's part of where people are getting the misconception that they just take these boosters, they'll get some small increase will matter. Okay? And then, of course, from the enhanced world, where people who use 10, 20 times the amount the human body produces are big jacked guys. Okay, but you're not boosting it tenfold. You're trying to boost it 5% or 10% and thinking that you're going to get something like that happens with 1,000% increase. And that's just simply not comparable. Okay, that is simply not comparable. That is the equivalent, and I'll put it into terms people can understand, seeing someone get extremely drunk, drinking 15 shots of whiskey, and then assuming that if you take a tiny droplet, right, and just dip your finger in it, and consume that you'll get intoxicated. Okay? All substances in the body have a dose-dependent effect. In fact, some things that are perfectly healthy for you can be poisonous at certain quantities. Keep that in mind. So these things create these misconceptions that these minor boosts could somehow produce these profound results. And it's not even the case. Well, I'm knowing it won't. I'm just hoping for a small edge. By a small edge, I hope you mean something measurable. Okay? Because it won't be enough to be measured. And that's assuming they even work. Now, the reality is most of these over-the-counter products don't even do that. They don't give you consistently even that little tiny boost in testosterone levels that are sometimes seen in the lab under extreme conditions. It's just like when many years ago, Mark with Tiger Fitness put out his test booster and Surgeon, and I called it out, and he produced his in-house study. Now, I am by no means saying that study was done incorrectly. I'm not saying that he lied about the results. Okay? I'll assume he was being honest. I'll assume he was being honest when selling his product, honest in regards to what the study actually said, that there was no trickery. I'll take him at face value and say, okay, he was telling the truth. Okay? There we go. Everybody should be happy. So the person had really low testosterone, clinically low. They took his over-the-counter product and their levels went up, and they were still clinically low. Meaning the person, after taking the test booster, still had levels so low that if they walked into a testosterone clinic or a longevity clinic, the doctor would prescribe them testosterone immediately, most likely. They still were low enough to qualify for a prescription. So I want to be clear there. Essentially, what he said, and if we go by the numbers and say the numbers that he put out on that test booster were honest and factual and accurate, and I'll take him at his word. The test booster left the person with still clinically low levels of testosterone while taking it. It's just not a glowing endorsement. Did the levels go up? Yes. Can we say that it was purely due to the product? Well, low levels can fluctuate to other low levels all the time. Product may or may not have been related, but it wasn't enough to get him up to a normal amount. I don't know that that's a glowing endorsement for a product working. I would hope not. I mean, you can assess it yourself. My official stance is that testosterone boosters do not work. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.